A lazy employee slammed his coffee down and yawned. I should be a manager by now even though I barely do anything. When our boss denied his promotion, he sneered. Then I'll just quit and watch this place fall apart without me. I smiled, handed him a resignation form, and said, "Perfect, we've already found your replacement." Let me take you back to the summer of 2018 in Charlotte, North Carolina. I was working at a mid-sized logistics company called Transglobal Freight. We handled everything from local deliveries to international shipping. The office was a melting pot of personalities, but none stood out more than our infamous colleague, Rick. Rick was the kind of guy who believed the world owed him something. He'd stroll into the office around 10 a.m., coffee in hand, and spend the first hour chatting about his weekend escapades. His desk was more of a decorative piece than a workspace. Tasks assigned to him often ended up on someone else's plate, usually mine. Despite his lackluster performance, Rick had an inflated sense of self-worth. He'd often say, "With my experience, I should be running this place." The irony was palpable, considering he couldn't even manage his own inbox. One Monday morning, Rick made his grand entrance, slammed his coffee cup on the desk, and declared, "I should be a manager by now even though I barely do anything." The room fell silent. Our boss, Mr. Thompson, overheard and decided it was time for a reality check. Later that day, Mr. Thompson called Rick into his office. The conversation was brief. Rick's request for a promotion was denied, citing his poor performance and lack of initiative. Rick stormed out, sneered, and said, "Then I'll just quit and watch this place fall apart without me." I saw an opportunity. I walked up to Rick, handed him a resignation form, and said, "Perfect, we've already found your replacement." The look on his face was priceless. He grabbed the form, signed it without reading, and left the building. With Rick gone, the office atmosphere improved dramatically. Tasks were completed on time, team morale was up, and even the coffee tasted better. We hired a new team member, Lisa, who brought a fresh perspective and a strong work ethic. 2 months later, Rick returned, expecting a hero's welcome. Instead, he found his desk occupied and his access card deactivated. He pleaded for his job back, but Mr. Thompson stood firm. Rick left, defeated. Sometimes, the best revenge is letting someone dig their own grave. Rick's arrogance led to his downfall, and the company thrived in his absence. It's a reminder that hard work and humility go a long way. The office finally felt balanced again after Rick left. We got through shipments quicker. Meetings were shorter. Lisa, the new hire, wasn't flashy or loud. She just did her job. She asked questions, stayed late when needed, and never tried to take credit for anything. It was peaceful, for once. Quiet progress. Until the calls started. At first, we thought they were wrong numbers. A few clients calling and asking strange questions like, "Is Rick still handling our account?" Or, "Did Rick approve the shipping fees increase?" We'd explain Rick no longer worked here and that they had new points of contact. They always sounded confused, like nobody had told them anything. That's when Lisa noticed something off. She was reviewing a client's file and saw a shipping contract Rick had supposedly signed 2 weeks ago. But Rick was gone by then. His login had been disabled. There shouldn't have been any recent documents with his name. I brought it to Mr. Thompson. He brushed it off at first. Probably just a template error. I wanted to believe him, but the documents kept showing up. New ones. Some with digital signatures. Some with initials. Always Rick's name. Then Lisa found an invoice that wasn't in our system. It had our logo, but the payment was routed to a different bank account. She brought it to me with wide eyes. "I think someone's stealing." We dug deeper. Quietly. Carefully. It was like peeling off layers of paint, only to find mold underneath. Over a dozen invoices with mismatched banking details. Contracts altered after being signed. Pricing manipulated. All with Rick's fingerprints. I brought the entire file to Mr. Thompson again. This time, he didn't shrug it off. He went pale. He told me to keep it between us. Said he'd talk to legal. I didn't like his tone. A few days later, Lisa and I came in to find our access to the internal billing system revoked. No explanation. Just locked out. I asked around. Nobody else had that issue. Only us. Then I got a call from a blocked number. I picked up. Silence. Then a voice, "Should have minded your own business." I knew it was Rick. The smug tone. The hiss in his voice. He was behind this. Somehow. Lisa and I decided we weren't going to wait around. We pulled out everything we had, email threads, screenshots, printed copies of the fake invoices. We emailed it to the company's main legal contact. Not Mr. Thompson. Someone higher. Corporate level. 2 days later, a guy in a suit showed up. Said he was from internal audit. He didn't knock. He didn't smile. He asked to speak to Mr. Thompson first. Mr. Thompson didn't return to his office after that meeting. That should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. More calls came in. More confusion. Clients asking why someone named RG was reaching out again. Rick was using another company. Small, shady, under the radar. But he was contacting our old clients, pitching faster shipping and better rates. He was using stolen contact lists, maybe even pretending to still work for us. I told legal. I told the new manager. They said they'd take care of it. The next day, Lisa's car window was smashed. No theft. Just a message scratched into the driver's door with a key, "Stop digging." She wanted to quit. I couldn't blame her. But she stayed. I stayed too. Not because I loved the job, but because I wasn't going to let Rick keep getting away with it. The problem was, someone else inside the company was still helping him. We just didn't know who. Yet, things got darker after Lisa's car was vandalized. HR tried to spin it. Could have been random, they said. But we knew it wasn't. It was a warning. And it didn't stop there. A week later, someone broke into the server room after hours. We only knew because the IT guy, Nate, came in early and noticed the panel was ajar. One of the hard drives was missing. No camera footage. The angle was perfectly blocked by a maintenance cart, which no one remembered leaving there. We got an email from corporate saying it was under investigation. But nothing changed. No one was suspended. No alerts. No apology. Lisa was shaken. I could see it in the way her hands trembled when she typed. I tried to talk to her. "Maybe take a week off," I said. But she shook her head. "If I stop now, he wins." I admired her for that. We decided to go deeper on our own. I called in a favor from a friend I went to college with, Sam, now a cybersecurity analyst. I told him I couldn't pay him much, but I needed help. He agreed. We gave him access to the backups we had downloaded before our systems got locked. Within 48 hours, he found something we missed. A backdoor program installed months before Rick left. Someone had been quietly funneling data, client lists, invoice logs, even internal memos, out of our system every week. And it wasn't just Rick's account. The program had admin-level access, which meant either Rick had help or someone higher up was involved. We brought this to corporate. This time, we didn't just send an email. We scheduled a Zoom call with the head of compliance and showed the screen recordings. Sam joined in to explain. That's when it really hit the fan. Within 24 hours, the office was locked down. Everyone had to hand over their work laptops. Investigators came in suits and badges, real ones this time, from the FBI's cybercrime unit. Rick hadn't just stolen client data. He was part of a ring selling logistics intel to shady overseas brokers. Shipping routes, customs info, delivery delays, stuff that could cripple a company if leaked. But here's the kicker, Mr. Thompson wasn't the inside man. He'd just been sloppy, maybe scared. The real mole was Nate. The IT guy. The quiet one. The one who found the server room break-in. He'd been in on it the whole time, hiding behind his hoodie and coffee mug. He was arrested at his apartment. They found a burner phone with dozens of calls to a contact saved as Artie. We assumed it stood for Rick Daniels. Yep, Rick's full name. He didn't even bother being clever about it. You'd think that would be the end, right? It wasn't. Because 2 days after the arrest, I got an envelope at my home. No return address. Inside was a photo of me and Lisa, taken from across the street as we left the office. On the back, written in marker, "You might have shut one door. There's more." Lisa got one too. Same photo. Different message. "Watch who you trust." We handed them to the agents. They looked concerned, but told us not to panic. "He's out there, but we're closing in." Still, every noise outside started sounding like a threat. Every unmarked car felt like a tale. Lisa started driving a different route home every day. I started sleeping with a baseball bat under my bed. Rick wasn't done. He had connections. He had information. And worst of all, he had nothing left to lose. And we were still standing in his way. We were scared, but we didn't stop. Fear can freeze you or push you. For us, it pushed. Corporate security gave us temporary drivers. Different cars each week. Lisa and I were moved to remote work. They told us it was for our protection, but it felt more like being boxed in. Controlled. Watched. The investigation dragged on. Weeks passed. Rick had vanished off the radar, but the photos told us he hadn't gone far. He was watching. Waiting. Then one night, I was walking my dog when I noticed something weird. A car idling down the block. Lights off. I took a photo, just in case. Then it sped off. My dog barked like mad. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, my boss called. There had been a break-in at one of our warehouses. No alarms were triggered. Whoever did it knew the blind spots. They didn't take much, just 2 pallets. But it wasn't about stealing. It was a message. A challenge. A few days later, Lisa was nearly run off the road driving home. She only avoided the crash because she turned into a gas station last second. The other car never stopped. She was done. Shaking, crying, she called me and said she was quitting. "It's not worth it," she said. I didn't blame her, but I couldn't walk away. So I did something I hadn't done in years. I used my father's contact. He was an ex-cop, retired. Spent more time fishing than policing now, but he still knew people. Quiet people. Old school. They didn't operate by policy. I sent them everything: names, emails, Rick's habits, places he used to hang out. I didn't ask questions. I just asked for help. 3 weeks later, I got a text. No name, just coordinates. I drove out there. An abandoned storage unit on the edge of Concord. It was almost dark. My heart was racing, but I opened the unit door. Inside, there was nothing but a USB stick taped to the wall and a piece of paper. The note said, "He's done talking. Time to finish it." I didn't know what that meant. Not yet. I took the USB to a friend who ran a private computer repair shop. Quiet guy, owed me a favor. He booted it up on an offline system. It was full of files, emails, payments, audio clips. Rick had been recording conversations with clients, threatening them, bribing them. There were also photos. Blackmail. Old employees. Even a folder labeled Insurance, HQ. It was clear he had been planning a scorched earth campaign. If he couldn't take over, he wanted to destroy everything. But here's the twist. There was a video file. And I clicked it. It was Rick, sitting in what looked like a motel room. Pale. Sweating. Talking to the camera. "If you're watching this, I'm probably already gone," he said. "I made enemies. I made mistakes. But they made me what I am. That company, those people, they ruined me first. I just gave them what they deserved." I sat there, stunned. Rick had sent this out as a dead man's switch. He knew someone was coming for him. A week later, the news broke. Unidentified man found dead in warehouse fire. Arson suspected. They didn't name him. But I knew. Everyone knew. Lisa texted me that night. "Was it you?" I replied no. But I'm not sorry. And I wasn't. Not because I hated Rick, but because I let it get that far. We all did. We ignored the red flags, covered for him, gave him space. And when he burned everything down, we acted surprised. Mr. Thompson? Fired. Corporate found out he'd ignored multiple complaints over the years. He never reported Rick's early fraud attempts, all to avoid attention. He's working at a call center now, last I heard. Nate's doing time. 5 years. Lisa moved out of state. Said she'd never work in freight again. And me? I still work here. Promotion came through. New management. Tight security. Clean systems. But sometimes, late at night, I still check the shadows. Because when you dance with a devil like Rick, a part of that fire always stays lit.